The Galactic Council had grown comfortable with Earth's silence. For 3 standard years since first contact, humanity had sent nothing but diplomats, merchants, and scientists to the stars. Their ships were sleek civilian vessels, gleaming, white with blue markings, peaceful, harmless, forgettable. Ambassador Vexitar of the Hegemony lounged in his crystalline chair, his 6 eyes gleaming with amusement as he addressed the council chamber. The humans speak of trade agreements and cultural exchanges, he chittered, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his species. They bring us their music and their mathematics, but where are their warships? Where is their strength? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled delegates. The towering Krillians flexed their armored plates dismissively. The ethereal Zephyrians pulsed with condescending colors. Even the normally reserved architects of Kepler Prime allowed themselves the equivalent of smirks. Perhaps, suggested Counselor Thren of the Void Hunters, her serpentine form coiled around her seat. Humanity simply lacks the capacity for warfare. Some species evolve beyond such primitive instincts. The chamber erupted in what could generously be called laughter, a cacophony of clicks, hisses, harmonic resonances, and electromagnetic pulses that would have been deafening to human ears. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in the human delegation's modest section, her face a mask of diplomatic calm. She had heard these conversations before, had endured the subtle and not-so-subtle dismissals. Earth was seen as weak, naive, a species fit only for scholarly pursuits and minor trade partnerships. The galaxy's established powers had already begun discussing how to guide humanity's development, how to ensure they remained in their proper place. "If I may address the council," Chen said, rising from her seat. The laughter gradually died down. Vextar gestured magnanimously with one of his 4 arms. "Of course, honored ambassador. Please, enlighten us with humanity's perspective." Chen walked to the central speaking platform, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. She smiled, not the diplomatic smile she usually wore, but something else entirely, something that made several delegates unconsciously shift in their seats. "You speak of humanity's lack of warships," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "You wonder at our apparent pacifism. You've grown comfortable with our silence in matters of military might." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembled powers of the galaxy. "That silence," she continued, "was never weakness. It was courtesy." Before anyone could respond to this cryptic statement, the chamber's alert systems began to chime. A holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing the space around the council station. The delegates leaned forward, expecting to see another human trade vessel approaching. Instead, they saw something that defied their understanding of human technology. The ship that dropped out of hyperspace was not white and blue. It was black as the void between stars, its hull drinking in light rather than reflecting it. Where human civilian ships were smooth and curved, this vessel was angular, predatory. It stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling, with weapon emplacements that glowed with barely contained energy. "Impossible," breathed Counselor Thren. "Our intelligence indicated no human military shipyards." Chen's smile widened. "Did it? How thorough was your intelligence, Counselor? Did it extend to the dark side of Luna? To the asteroid mining facilities in the belt? To the construction platforms hidden in Jupiter's radiation shadow?" The ship on the display began to move with a grace that belied its massive size. As it approached the station, more details became visible. The hull wasn't merely black, it was covered in a complex pattern of angular geometry that seemed to shift and flow like living shadow. Weapon ports opened and closed in synchronized sequences, like a predator flexing its claws. "For 3 years," Chen continued, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, "you've watched our merchants and diplomats. You've analyzed our civilian technology, cataloged our peaceful intentions, and concluded that humanity posed no threat." She gestured to the display. "You forgot to ask what we were building while you weren't looking." Vextar's mandibles worked soundlessly. This is one ship. Surely you don't think..." The display updated, then updated again, and again. Ships began appearing throughout the system, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect coordination. Dozens of them, each as formidable as the first. They moved with mechanical precision, forming a three-dimensional grid around the Council Station that spoke of tactical doctrine refined through centuries of theoretical warfare. "Human vessel," came a transmission from the station's defense coordinator, a nervous Krillian named Bex-9. "State your intentions." The response came not in words, but in action. Every human ship simultaneously powered up their weapons systems, the energy signatures blazing across every sensor in the system. But they didn't fire. They simply waited, like wolves showing their fangs. Then finally a voice came across the comm channels. It was human, but processed through systems that gave it an otherworldly quality, deep, resonant, utterly without compromise. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the UES Retribution. We bring greetings from the Terran Defense Force." Chen walked back to her seat, her diplomatic composure never wavering. "You see, honored delegates, humanity has always understood that peace is not the absence of the capacity for war. It's the choice not to use that capacity. For 3 years we chose peace. We chose to learn, to trade, to build relationships." She sat down and folded her hands in her lap. "We also chose to prepare." The silence in the chamber was deafening. The same delegates who had been mocking humanity's peaceful nature minutes before now stared at the display, with expressions ranging from shock to outright fear. The Void Hunter's perfect formation had unconsciously shifted into a defensive posture. The Krillian's armored plates had locked into full battle configuration. "The question before this council," Chen said softly, "is not whether humanity can defend itself. We've just demonstrated that capability. The question is whether the galaxy will continue to mistake our peaceful intentions for weakness." She stood again, and this time every eye in the chamber followed her movement. "We came to the stars seeking friends and partners. We offered our knowledge, our culture, our innovations freely. We asked for nothing but the chance to find our place among the civilized worlds." Her voice hardened just slightly. "But we will not be patronized. We will not be dismissed. And we will not be guided by anyone who believes that might makes right." Captain Vasquez's voice came through the speakers again, calm and professional. "Council Station, this is Retribution. We are prepared to discuss new terms of engagement between the Terran Defense Force and the Galactic Council. At your convenience, of course." Ambassador Chen smiled that same unsettling smile. "After all," she said, addressing the stunned assembly, "it's only polite to knock before entering." The galaxy had mocked Earth's silence. Now, as the black ships hung in space like birds of prey, that silence had found its voice, and it spoke in fire.